Hello and welcome to the Back Nine Report. My name is Carlos Torres, along with Fred Alvader. Every week, we're checking on the world of golf to bring you the latest news, insights, analysis, interviews, recaps, previews. Here we cover anything and everything on golf. In other words, if it happened in golf, we have it for you. Fred, hi, how are you this week?
Hey, Carlos, fantastic. Got to see some. Did you watch any of the Minnesota Viking football game? Oh my goodness, what a game! That I watched like the last quarter of that thing, and I just couldn't believe that it kept going and going and going. That was amazing, amazing stuff. So that was probably one of the best NFL games I've ever seen, I think, in my life. Actually, that was a classic. But hey, we got the Champions Tour wrapped up last weekend, so they're done. The PGA's Tour still has one or two events left yet to wrap up their season before they get into all the other stuff they're going to do. But Carlos, the LPGA is trucking right along, and they just held the Pelican last week. They got a big event coming up this week too.
They do, and that is the CME Group Championship, which really will determine maybe all of the races for the end of the year, and specifically who can be number one in the CME race. But before that, we had this past weekend seeing Nelly Korda finally winning again on the LPGA. I mean, we talked about her a couple of weeks ago and saying, hey, she had such a great season coming into this year, and that battle that she and Jin Young Ko were having. But unfortunately, she was injured at the beginning of the year, wasn't able to play that much, but definitely seems to have been picking it up again because she won again at the Pelican, once again rose to number one in the world. But it seems different for her, right? I mean, so much has transpired since the last time she edged Lexi Thompson to hoist a trophy at the Pelican LPGA Championship. And finally, that blood cut surgery that she had at the beginning of the year and took her out of the game for months. And definitely was something scary. That is something really scary whenever it happens to anybody, but she has been able to bounce back and now is back to number one in the world. So how about Nelly Korda winning the Pelican Championship once again against Lexi Thompson?
Yeah, it was the second year in a row she won that, and the second year in a row that Lexi Thompson finished runner-up. So these guys got something going on there at the Bel Air golf course. They kind of like it there, evidently. But hey, Carlos, the big news is that the Pelican announced that next year, Annika Sorenstam her foundation will be the beneficiary of the tournament, and she's going to be the celebrity name. It's going to be called the Annika in the future. But the big news here is that the purse is jumping from $2 million this year to 3.25 next year. So that's a pretty big increase. Maybe Nelly will wish she'd hold off and won it next year when the purse was bigger instead of this year when she got less money. But still, no, that's really big. And Carlos, this is kind of following. I got a cough. I'm sorry. This is kind of following a trend for the LPGA. Their purses have been growing exponentially the last couple of years. We've seen the majors growing. Now the regular events are really increasing their purses, just like Michael Wan wanted to see it. That's what he'd been working on for 10 years to get this stuff going like that. And now Molly Marcoux is reaping the benefits of that as the LPGA commissioner now. But Carlos, according to a study from Marketing and Advertising, the LPGA Tour inked 940 branding deals last year. That's a 30% increase over 2021. They lead all of women's sports with branding deals and sponsor deals. That's women's tennis, that's women's soccer. And soccer has been big coming out of the Olympics when they won that thing a few years ago. They've been getting a lot of deals on TV and all this kind of stuff. But women's golf now has taken that over. And a number that really is shocking to me, this is unbelievable. Since 2019, so just the last 3 years, the LPGA Tour's deal growth has grown by 75%. 75%. over 3 years. Okay. So that's averaging 25% a year. Over that same 3-year period, the PGA Tour has only grown by 15%. So yeah, the PGA Tour probably had the money to begin with, but I think some of that money is slipping away from the PGA Tour, going over to the LPGA. They're still getting a lot of TV time. They're getting a lot of good names of the players that are available there, the Lydia Ko's, the Lexi Thompsons, all these great women players, less money. They don't have to pay as much as they do to the men, and they're getting a lot of TV time. So I think the LPGA Tour is kind of finding their slot. Now, you all also could say, well, this maybe is a result of that joint marketing agreement with the PGA Tour and the LPGA. Maybe that PGA Tour is helping slide some of that money in there too. So don't know, but the LPGA Tour is on a real growth curve. And Carlos, coming up this week is their biggest event of the year with a $2 million payday.
It's incredible. I was just about to mention that because the Pelican, which will be the Annika now, is the penultimate event. It's hardly usually about who wins, of course, but there's also tour cards and CME qualifying on the line because only 60 players can qualify for this season ending event, where the winner earns a record $2 million paycheck, right? So after a week of play in Bel Air, the field didn't change. But one of the nice things was to see Morgane Metro making it from 101. She finished before making it in. But what is a record right now, that $2 million paycheck for the CME is going to be upped by the Annika. And what's going to happen to the CME? I mean, is it going to? I guess now they're going to have to find out something to maybe up that purse for next year as well, right? So have you heard anything on that end or?
No, I mean, it's already a big payday. I mean, the winner gets $2 million. The purse for the Pelican was $2 million total. And the winner, I think Nellie's share was 300,000 out of that. So the winner, I mean, this is just, the USGA now is paying, big money for that purse. And, the women's KPMG up their purse. So the majors have been upping the ante for the women's game, but now it's filtering down to some of these regular tour events. So that's a really good thing.
I think LIV is making everybody,
Yeah, well, it could be. I was wondering about that today when I was working on my notes. I wonder how much effect the LIV is having on some of this stuff.
Yeah, hey, it's a good thing, at least for the players, right? But now, after the Pelican Women's Championship outing there at the Pelican Golf Club in Bel Air, Florida, the LPGA is now heading to Naples for the 2022 CME Group Tour Championship. The field for the event is set. It didn't change, but it features there. Nelly Korda is going to be there. It will be held from this 17th of November this week to the 20th, and it's going to be played at the Tiburon Golf Club in Naples, Florida, and this will be the LPGA's final. With the end of season awards, like we mentioned, waiting to be announced, the CME Group Tour Championship has a lot on the line. I mean, much like the Pelicans Women's Championship, this event has garnered the interest of almost all the LPGA stars as they look to make big moves ahead of the season end. The field for the event has been set, and it headlines by Nelly Korda, like I mentioned, Se-Yeon Kim, Lydia Ko, Jin Young Ko, even though she has the injury on her wrist that we have mentioned, but still at least is on that field. Now
is she going to play? Is it official?
It's not, but she's still on the. For what I see, she's still on that list. So I know she missed the cut on the Pelican, but she hasn't been playing really well. That's very, very sad for her. I mean,
and she's won this the last 2 years, so she wants to play,
and it's important because she, of course, wants to see if she can regain that #1 championship, but I don't see it happening the way that she played at the Pelican.
We said that last year we struggled. Remember, we said that there's no way, and then she proved us wrong.
Hey, maybe she was just holding on. She's like, okay, I will hold on for this.
I'll show those guys. I'll show those old guys what I can do.
What are they thinking? I'm gonna but hey, it's a $7 million purse, and like you mentioned, the winner shares $2 million. The event is playing in its originally intended slot and will not have Monday qualifiers. The field, like I said, is already there. Interestingly, the final list of golfers include 40 of the top 50 in the Rolex Women's World Golf Ranking. So it's a truly finale for it. Nelly Corda, maybe with that win, you can think, hey, she may be the champ, the winner, the favorite to win the after winning. Athaya Thitikul, who we know is right now #1, and Lydia Ko will also be top names to try to win there. Like I mentioned, Min Young Ko, Min Jae Lee, we cannot discard that. Brooke Henderson, Lexi Thompson, Inji Shan, Hyayo Kim, Nasa Hatakoa, all the other names holding the top 10 ranks that are all going to be here. So Fred, how about this championship? We have the top stars in it. We can't discount anybody. And wow, Lydia Ko is just holding 1 point lead on the Rolex ranking and the Rolex race for the player of the year. Just 1 point. Anything can happen here.
Yeah, and some of the names that so there's 63 players in the field, and so just making it in, Patty Tavatanikit at number 57, Anna Nordquist at 58, Stacy Lewis 62, Anna Jutanakarn got the final spot at number 63. So it is important to these women because it is such a big purse. So if they can finish top 10, they still get top 10's like winning a regular tournament, right? You still get a pretty big payday. So you don't have to just win there to make a bunch of money. We talked about Nelly Corda and the year. It's been an up down, kind of a down year for her. But she did return to #1 with coming off the win last week. She jumped over Thitikul back. She's the first player to successfully defend a title because she won the Pelican last year as well, since Jin Young Ko won the 2019-21 Cognizant Founders Cup. And this is only her 14th event of the year. She's had 6 top 10 finishes. Her best coming in here was a second at the Meyer right down here at Grand Rapids, Michigan. Off several months with the surgery and with the blood cut issues that you documented. So I want to talk a little bit about too, favorites coming in here, Carlos. We've got to talk about Nelly coming off a win, of course. All right. We've got to talk about Lexi because she's won here before. This course is good for her. She obviously is playing quite well, but she's had a history this year of falling down in final rounds. She's had a really good year, but if she could have just finished a little bit better, she's had 7 top 10s this year, but a couple of final round meltdowns kept her from winning big. And although this was a successful year for her, she probably would be the first to say she left a lot on the table. A win here and the $2 million payday, that would help ease the pain of those missed opportunities she's had. And like I say, she has won here before. Also, you mentioned that Thitikul has been playing quite well all year long, and ascended to #1 before she just got knocked back off again. But she's got to be a factor in this thing. And then Jin Young Ko, like I was saying earlier, she's won here twice, so she's always a factor on this golf course. But Carlos, a couple people jump out to me, and they're kind of my favorites. So Lydia Ko, we documented a couple of weeks ago, we talked about her, the year that she's had. She's won this event before, back in 2014, but this is the kind of thing that she could be very good at. It's a good course for her. I look for her to be right there come Sunday, whether first, second, or third. I think she'll finish right there. And then the other, if I pick a wild card here for you, Carlos, how about Jennifer Kupcho? She's had a really good year, and this should be a good course for her. And I look for her to do something big. It's, this could be a really big deal for her this week, Carlos.
Oh, definitely. I think Jennifer should be in the mix, but like you, I think Lydia Ko, for some reason, I think this is would be the culmination of a great rebound year for her. I think along with Athaya Thitikul, they might have been maybe the most consistent throughout the year. it's been like a tale of different stories throughout the year. We saw Yin Young Ko and Nelly Korda coming in as the clear 1 and 2, and we always talked about, hey, this is going to be maybe another battle throughout the year from them. But unfortunately, we had that blood clot from Nelly Korda and took her out of her game. Now we're glad to see her back on top and really back to number 1, and she's definitely one to contend with. Yin Young Ko seems like maybe she, with that wrist injury, is definitely something very, very bad, but we know how big a competitor she is. But then we saw throughout the year also other players like Min-Jae Lee. Min-Jae Lee, I think, is one of the players that at the beginning of the year was looking like she was going to soar to world number 1 and be one of the, she was the hottest player in form at the beginning of the year as well. Throughout that first half of the year, you would say Min-Jae Lee. All of a sudden, she's still being playing well, but it's been like stealthy. She hasn't been talked that much about. That's one player that I think we cannot just turn our backs on, and she could be there. Brooke Henderson seems to be having also another sort of a rebound year. She won again, and it's been also on and off that top of the leaderboards. That's another player that I think we have to count on. There at the end, there's also the other rookie, Haijin Choi, has been overshadowed by Thea Thithikuls, but it's another player that has been also there in the top 10s constantly, and it's always a factor here. But like you, I think Lydia Ko is the player to watch. I think it's just fitting that she would win here in this true finale for the LPGA's top players contending for this title. And I think that's the name to watch.
With the game that Lydia is playing right now, it's very similar to what Jin Young Ko does. Fairways, greens, fairways and greens, very consistent. Okay. And if she can roll the putter a little bit, then, you know, everything is golden. And Jin Young Ko's won here the last 2 years. So I really think Lydia has to be the favorite coming in this week, Carlos.
She has to be, and a dark horse, another rookie that's been playing amazing is Siyu Lin. That we've seen her very constantly also on the top of the leaderboards. But hey, this is gonna be it. It's gonna be all the top players there for the record-setting $2 million winner's share of a $7 million total purse. It's incredible what the LPGA has been able to accomplish. Like you mentioned at the beginning, also, this is like the culmination of what Michael Wan had been setting up. Yes, there's a new commissioner there, but it's really good to point out that this is a lot of Michael Wan's early work that is paying off right now for the players. And hopefully next year, we're going to have even better, because the LPGA definitely is one of my favorite tours to watch. All the players come to play every week, and it's a great product for it. So any final words before we close it?
No, just another note along that line. You know, the LIV took so much of the headlines this year, and we ended up spending a lot of time talking about the LIV and the PGA Tour and all the ramifications. And we didn't talk about the LPGA nearly as much as we normally do, but we want to make sure we got this in here, the preview for the CME Group Championship. And they've really had a good year. But they just got overshadowed by some of the other events in golf this year.
Yeah, I guess everybody got overshadowed by the LRV news this year, but we'll see. I think they're up for a rebound, and definitely we'll be talking more about them because they're worth it. So anyway, thank you for joining us. It's always our pleasure to bring you the latest in golf news and information. Remember to subscribe to our channel. It's right there on the description. So thank you for joining us.